Hi, Don Singletary here, and welcome to the channel. Less than 10 seconds to go until the featured trade of the week, and stay tuned for after the video. I'll have some tips on volatility for you. This trade occurred on March 15th, 2022, a couple of days after the start of the Ukraine war and one day before the first Fed meeting that's going to be raising interest rates in this calendar year, 2022. One of the things I want to weave in today into the trade of the week is some talk about reading the MACD and also how that relates to volatility. What I've done is freeze frame the first frame of this trade because I want to do the trade setup and talk about what's happening. It's a very important part, the mental preparation for a trade. Now, the market opens at 9:30 Eastern Time, of course, and goes up until 11 o'clock for about an hour and a half. But then it levels off, as you can see, all the way from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., the highlighted yellow. And you see we have what's called a ranging market. Now, what I want to do is show you how to compare the movement of the MACD to what we've talked about happening as the market opens and then trades up until 2 o'clock. Now, on the lower pane in the MACD, look what happens between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. Now, that's a time frame of about 3 hours there, and consistently, as you'll see by the green arrow pointing down, the momentum of any upward motion is going down. And at 2 o'clock, you see where the green and the red lines look as though they might be converging, and they're going to go below the zero line. Now, one can argue up in the yellow highlighted area, there are some vacillations in price up there, 2 peaks, talking about between 11 and 2 o'clock now. There's 2 peaks and 1, 2, 3 bottoms, I guess you could call them. But look at the bottoms right here. I'm going to mark them up right here. You've got periods of 20 and 30 minutes where the price stays exactly the same and hardly moves at all. And if you don't have experience yet, you may not recognize this, but that's a pattern when you get these 20, 30-minute lulls and you don't have a major trend for the day. Those are patterns that can be extremely frustrating to try and trade. You sit there and you're $5 up and $5 down for half an hour. You get impatient. And during times like that, or when you're really tempted to make what I call bad decisions, or better way to say it is not the best decision. Your brain wants to start guessing as what's going to happen next, and that can cost you money. Now, I can tell you, over the years, I've made this mistake time and time and time again, and it's very frustrating when you sit there, you're all ready, dressed up, and there's no place to go, and every time you try to enter a trade, you start playing around with it and guessing what's going to happen next, and in those moments, trading can become a chore and not one you really enjoy a lot. It's much easier if you will try to trade a trend than trying to trade the lulls in the market. Now, you can argue that I have the genius of hindsight, and you'd be right to show you this, but we have to talk about it. And so I chose to do that right now. One thing you're going to learn when you're trading is you do not have to take on the burden of trying to guess what the heck's going to happen for the rest of the day in trading. That's too much, and you'll get it wrong almost all the time. Let me put it a slightly different way. What we're talking about now isn't really on the charts. Yeah, I did mark up the chart, but I'm talking about what happens in your head. And if you turn your trading over to a trade signal indicator, and you become the robot that just accepts and rejects those signals, you're not thinking during the trade. A lot of beginners think the risk to a trade is defined before you enter a trade, but that's not true. The risk changes moment to moment, all during that trade. Remember, your job, your number one job, is to protect your account balance. And one of the things you can do, and I talk about it all the time, is better trade selection. Now, beginners don't understand these things. So what I'm talking about isn't on the chart. It happens between your ears. And if you get into a section of trading there where the price lulls and goes nowhere for 25 minutes, that's a high-risk time. You'd think it can't be high risk because the price isn't moving very much. But it is high risk because your brain gets bored and starts to see and think things that aren't really happening on there. And it's immensely hard to have that kind of self-control. The best remedy, at least in the beginning, is don't put yourself into those situations where you're most likely to make a bad decision. And if you're doing that over and over and over again, and it keeps happening over and over, you're just doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And that's the very definition of insanity. I'll make you a bet. I would bet that 99.999% of all traders have a day like this. You trade all day and you work really hard, and at the end of the day you say, wow, I had a net loss today and more of it I intended to lose. All somebody would have to do is take the opposite side of my trades and they'd make a lot of money. I guarantee you, every trader has that thought go through their head. And one of the solutions is, you can think about this, consider this, that stop putting yourself in the positions that lead to bad decisions and be better at trade selection, even if it means taking your hands off the mouse and sitting on them for a while and waiting for a trend that you can trade and make some money. So next time you get into a trade and you have a $30, $40 stop loss on the trade, you don't have to hold that trade until you lose the $30 or $40. You get into one of those 25-minute lulls or something and you realize you're on the verge of maybe not making the best decision, exit that trade and get rid of it. Vamoose, and then look for greener pastures to be able to trade. You are the captain of the ship, and you get to make those decisions. There's nothing automatic about losing $30 just because that's where you happen to put a stop. Get out before it happens. And sometimes you'll say, oh, I should have stayed in. That's the price, because you have to learn to make decisions before you have all the information to make a perfect decision. One of the most important things you can learn about trading is not technical charting, but it's learning the psychology to stop putting yourself in those positions where you're losing money and to do it over and over and over again. If you realize you're doing it over and over again, that's really good news, because then you can learn how to fix it. One of my favorite traders, Warren, one of the richest men in the world, Buffett, has a saying: if you find yourself in a hole, stop digging. Okay, trade's underway at 2:04 in the afternoon. I shorted one of the S&P 500 Micro Eminis at a price of $42.18 at 3/4. And we're just about even money now, maybe up $5 or so in the trade. This trade goes on for a while, so I'm going to fast forward here. At 2:08, 4 minutes into the trade, I took my stop and moved it up to 4230.75, just to get it out of the way. Like riding a bicycle, and I take my hands off the handlebars, but only for a minute or two, and I want to see what this trade's going to do. At 42.25 1/4, I think, was the highest it went right here. And I'm watching this thing very carefully because my stop's way up there. And I'm thinking, hey, I might have to bail out of this trade and cut my losses here. But the trading price is stalling out there a little bit, and it really hasn't moved all that much. I'm about $35 down in the trade right now, I think. Now I'm watching this thing closely because this is a pivotal point in the trade. Do I fly with it or do I bail? That's the big question. And the prices are coming back down just a little bit now. They stopped rising. It's a step in the right direction. And of course, I'm thinking I want to move my stop back down at the earliest possible opportunity. And I'm trading 224 1/4 right now. And you remember a few minutes ago when I was doing the setup for this trade, I drew those blue rectangles up top, and I talked about getting stuck in a lull and how that's not any fun at all. And I'm beginning to think that I may have walked right into that trap here. But on the other hand, the price isn't running away from me either, so I'll hang around and take one more look at this thing before I bail and see what's going to happen. But it's time for this trade to show me something, or I'm going to get out. I'm surely not going to let it go all the way up to that 42.30 3/4 stop up there. Absolutely not. This trade is not proving to me that it has anything left in it right now. Well, whatever happens in this trade, I have no one else to blame. This is a solo sport, isn't it? And sometimes I kind of think of a trade like an employee, and I guess I'm the boss of my trading here. And I've invested time and money into this trade. It's not getting me anything back, so I may have to fire the trade. That's code for exit, of course. 42.21. 42.21. So it's getting time for me to move that stop back down and crowd this trade and either let it stop out if it goes back up again towards that 42.25. So I got my Tastyworks mouse out here, and I'm gonna corral this thing. I've got a target down there at 42.05. That's way down there. And I'm easing that stop back down here. And there it's set at 42.28.75. Say I need your help. If you want to see another video like the one you're seeing now, click the like button. It helps me determine the future videos. I think my own words are coming back to haunt me here. I'm in a lull. I just went fast forward 4 minutes. We're 2:16 now is the time. We're 12 minutes into the trade. It's 42.18.75. That's where I got into the trade at. So it's doing nothing. For 12 minutes, it's the exact same price. Wish I could have made a bet on that happening. What would have been the odds, right? Okay, I'm down to 216.25. Now, I slipped my stop down to 42.20.75 now. So I'm only risking $10 on this trade, and I'm about $15 ahead right now. And I'm going to move that stop down one more time here because this trade, I've had it with it. It's either got to show me something or I'm going to quit the game, toss it out here, and go look for greener pastures, as they say, somewhere else. I've got my mouse highlighted on that stop there. I'm just looking for any opportunity or excuse that I can to go ahead and pull that stop down some more. I mean, I'm ready. I'm ready to get out of this trade or either to make some money with it. And right now, I can't tell which that's going to be. But I do know the worst thing can happen is I'm going to lose $10, and I can handle that. It won't upset me. It won't make a bad day or anything else. Just wasted a lot of time here is all. 42.17 now. So I'm, $7.50 up in the trade, maybe. $7.50. And things moving down a little, 42.16.25. So that's about $12.50 I'm up in the trade. It's back down to $10 now. And we'll see where this thing's going to go. I know you may be thinking, this guy's counting pennies, right? Damn right, it's my money. I take it serious, any amount of it, because it is a pleasure to be able to take some of that money out. Got my mouse out. Finally, I can move that stop down where I can lock in some kind of profit, hopefully. I'm trading 42.13.75 now. There you go. I just moved my stop down to 42.16.75. So I'm $10 up. Is the worst thing can happen to me now. There you go, 42.13.25. So I made more money on this trade in the last 10 seconds than I did the first 15 minutes. That's the way it goes sometimes. Get my mouse and move this thing down. I'm trading down to 42.13 now. And I may get a little bit of money out of this trade before it's done. We'll see, 214.50. 214.50. I was a quarter of a point from being stopped out just then. Now it's trading back down at 42.14. I really thought I was going to get stopped out of the trade there, but now it's moved on down to 42.10.5 down there, and I like that. So I think what I'll do is move, I'd stop down again and see if I can just get out of this trade once and for all now. Here we go. That's it right there. 42.10.5. It's kind of an unusual trade. 17 minutes and didn't really make any money into the trade till the last couple of minutes there, but I had my finger on the trigger and I was ready. I kind of waited it out. And remember, I almost got stopped out there. It was a quarter of a point from getting stopped out up there, and I probably would have made about $10 or $15 on the trade instead of 40. So hey, got a little bit lucky, but luck works both ways, and when I take the good part of it, I'm glad to do so. And don't mind admitting that either. Drawdown was about $35, a little more than it probably should have been for this trade, but I got away with it this time. Profit $40, and be sure and subscribe to the channel. Do these featured trades every week, and you'll get a notification if you hit the bell there too, and they'll either send you a text or an email, I think, to alert you when I put up the new trades of the week here on the channel. It's all about learning affordable day trading, and my book helps. It has a great chapter in there. I took some time and got some gems of trading psychology in there for you. And as you can see, what trading really happens between your ears. Technical indicators are a tool that we use, but the way I trade, I'm not a robot to technical indicators. I actually like to be able to think on the fly, because I just don't think. Can you imagine in that 17 minutes how many thoughts and how many decisions went through my head? And you can't do that with a technical indicator that just takes away all of your reasoning and experience and all those things you work hard to get. And I can't turn myself over to and be a robot for a technical indicator. Not completely. I just don't trade that way. Some people do, and I wish them luck, but that's not my cup of tea. So look down in the text below the video. You'll see the link on my book down there. It costs about as much as a large pizza with a couple of toppings. And my hope is you would make many, many, many times the price of that book back, and the time we save you, and also and some of the ideas in there to help you learn to be able to better trade, day trade the micro E-minis. Thanks for being here for the video today. Before you leave, if you're new to the channel especially, look in the text down below the video. A lot of free stuff down there. A trade simulator by the Chicago Merc Exchange for you. I've got 2 beginners playlists to help you get a jump start on learning. Those are absolutely free, and a link to my book down there too. And it was great fun today, and we had kind of an interesting trade, and I hope you found some ideas you can use. I'm Don Singletary. I hope every day is a payday for you. And thank you.